Thank you very much for inviting me to this prestigious event and giving me the opportunity to talk to you. And if I hadn't known that innovation is about challenge, I know now, being the next speaker to Chris. So, but I take up the challenge, but I have to do something else, and that's why I will start with a Q&A session right away. And I'm going to ask you a question. Talk about innovation. What comes to your mind first? One word.
Disruption.
Say?
Disruption.
Disruption. Yep. Value?
Change.
Change? Hey. Patience? Yep. Yep. Passion? Yeah, okay, passion, sure. Yeah. New? New and money. Yeah, okay, like value. Okay, sounds all good, but it tells me that I have another challenge. Because probably you started your day using some cosmetics. For gentlemen, anti-aging cream. It's never too early to start. Probably you flew in by a plane to Boston, or you came by car, using nice tires, or you had biodiesel in your tank, or you were passing windmills, you were eating chicken yesterday, and all of that contains innovative materials and solutions from Evonik. So the first word that should come to your mind is Evonik, actually, when we talk about innovation. So that's why I'm here now. Okay, but this was a question I found in the blog. Yeah, define innovation in one word. And these are the most mentioned words, these 5, and I think you all mentioned them as well: creativity, change, transformational, different, and new. No big surprise. But what I like most is the following definition, that actually you cannot define innovation in one word, because it's best described by the moment of silence created when all the people who said it will never work realize that they are dead wrong. Or in other words, everybody said it will never work. Somebody came along who didn't know it and simply did it. So that's innovation. But let's look at these 5 words coming to my title. Can it work? Innovation needs creativity. Now, coming from a large corporation, what you typically do in innovation, you establish a nice process. Yeah? You have all the gates and milestones and things. You have NPVs. We love NPVs. Yeah? We even have ECVs. It's even better than NPVs. Yeah? So creativity, yeah? Or innovation needs change. Only babies in wet nappies want change. No organization wants change. And even that, ladies and gentlemen, babies in wet nappies, it won't work anymore because Evonik, we have developed a new super absorbing polymer. It keeps them dry. Yeah? So, patience. Yeah, I mentioned patience was mentioned. Yeah, great. This is a study from McKinsey. I think came out last year in 2013. And I mean, you know this chart. Look here. Where's the... Oops, sorry. Is there a pointer on it? No, it's not. Well, anyhow, look at this part here. Patience, disruption. It takes up to 20 years. Now, we are a publicly listed company. I go to my boss, the supervisory board, I've got a splendid idea, and I'll pay you a dividend in 20 years. Great, he will love me, yeah? As a matter of fact, he does love me. So, but anyhow. So, can that work? Transformational, patience? Open culture, I add that, it wasn't mentioned, but all behind that is an open culture, passion. Now, open culture, look, we always tried to measure everything. You see, it's a nice process, the input, process, output, outcome. IPOO framework from a university in Switzerland. It's not an IPO, it's even worse, it's an IPOO. And all that's what we try to measure, to analyze, and make ourselves clear that, yes, we are successful in innovation. So can it really work? Now, of course, I'm a bit provocative. I wouldn't be in my position, I wouldn't love my job if I didn't believe in innovation. But these are things you have to deal with in a large corporation. At the end of the day, yes, Chris, it's about passion. It is about culture in an organization. Because there are challenges around which ask for more innovation. I've put some on that screen. I've simply mentioned things, well, facing maybe the chemical industry, that's where I come, but in a way it's broad. Yeah, about consumer individualization, and you have heard some examples from Chris as well. We will need to differentiate more our products. There will be different requirements around the globe. Product life cycles will shorten. As such, innovation speed has to become faster. And the ever ongoing globalization, it will demand different solutions in different regions. And new innovation hubs are coming up, which have different ideas, different concepts, and work for different, well, clients. Yeah? So, you know all the term of reverse or frugal innovation. So it's no longer the old story, there's something in the West we invent and we export it to some emerging countries. No way. There will be the other way where these people in emerging countries, clever people as we are, same passion, same competencies, different competencies, but great competencies, they will make innovation and it will come to us. So that's what we have to face, and that's why the way we have to do innovation, and this is my key message, has to change. But let me give you 2 slides about Evonik. If I talk about, I'm not sure that everybody knows what Evonik is. It is a specialty chemicals company. We are about 13 billion in sales. That's what we had last year. We have a decent profit margin around close to 16% EBITDA margin. And all of that is done with 33,000 employees. Of course, we are active, as you would expect, around the globe. 3/4 of our sales are outside of Germany, of course. And you see that in the bottom that North America and Asia equally represent 18% of our sales. So we are global. We have production sites in 24 countries. And that means also our innovation has to be global. What are we heading for? What drives our business? Chris was talking some of the megatrends, and we have aligned our business strategy according to these 3 megatrends: health and nutrition, resource efficiency, and last but not least, globalization. That is what drives the direction of our business and also automatically drives the direction of our innovation activities. There's no innovation strategy without an appropriate business strategy. This is what we had. And we have ambitious goals. By 2018, we want to be an 18 billion euro company. Last year, we were 13. We want to have an EBITDA of more than 3 billion. Last year, we had 2. So you see the ambitious challenge. But, of course, we have a couple of programs, and sometimes corporate programs work. Yeah, and I hope for this, they will work. And one of that pillar, we want to achieve that, of course, has to be growth, inevitably, organic growth. So to achieve that, sure, we have to find attractive businesses and markets. We have an ambitious investment program, just to name that, we'll invest around 5 billion euros since 2012 to 2016, 5 billion euros, enormous amount of money. Yes, we will talk about acquisition, but innovation has to be strengthened. We have to change the way we do innovation. It has to be a stronger contributor to achieve exactly these goals. That's why, and here it already goes about how to make this happen. We have started an initiative, if you want a corporate initiative, which we call Leading Innovation. How did it come to Leading Innovation? Why is it called Leading Innovation? Well, 2 years ago, we have made a big conference only for our top executives, board, next level, and so on, to talk about innovation. Not about a process, not about a topic. But we simply asked the question, what does the company have to do to be better in innovation? What hinders us to be better in innovation? And we call that Leading Innovation for 2 reasons. Because we want to be leading in innovation. You see our vision. Evonik is one of the most innovative companies in the world. And to be leading in innovation, you have to lead innovation. So it's about leadership. After leadership, of course, you have to have the right strategy. And if you see some strategy element, yes, it is about new horizons. Yes, it's about radical innovation. Yes, it's about internal and external networks. Chris was mentioning on that. Use the know-how of your company. It is about innovation culture. And this is my most important message. You can have all the processes, all the KPIs, the best leaders. If you don't have the right culture in your company, innovation will not work. And so there are some elements with which we want to improve, foster the innovation culture. And then as a fourth point, I will not go into that details, of course, we also had precise topics. We then decided, yes, that's the 1, 2, 3, 4 most important things we would have to change in a short period of time, which basically was till end of last year. That was the program. And we did it, and now your topics come up. So it's about innovation leadership in a company. So innovation, sure, I mean, it's no big surprise. Why do we have to do it? I said the other, yes, it has to drive our profitable growth. It gives us access to new markets. It has to maintain our competitive position. We have to be alive. If we don't survive tomorrow, there's no need to think about disruptive innovation in 10 years. If you're dead, it doesn't help you. We have to find new attractive business field. And at the end of the day, most important question for innovation, why do you do it? You have to create value. This was said also, value for all our stakeholders. But there's one other driver, which I think is more important, and that is sustainability. Chris mentioned that. Yes, we have substantial challenges out there in the world, and I think that the drive for sustainability, and it's a way to go, there's no end point. We'll always find something more sustainable than the existing. That is a big driver for innovation. And you all know what it means. It's bringing into equal balance societal, economical, and ecological factors. And we're all strong in measuring profit. We have become much better in measuring ecological factors, greenhouse gas, water, and waste reduction. But measuring societal factors in innovation, when you start a project, you know the result will be in 10 years. Driving your project portfolio in innovation, taking into account societal factors, that is a challenge. We are trying to do that. We are establishing that more and more, really to think out what will be the effect on society when we start a project today, and we want to drive our portfolio. So we would think about doing a project or not if we don't believe, well, the societal factors is not high enough. Yeah? Of course, economic factors will always count. We still have to earn money. We cannot lose money. It doesn't help do anything good for society and lose money. It won't be sustainable. Yeah? But still, putting that into account in early stages is not that easy. But we'll go for that. We'll try. What does innovation mean in Evonik? Well, it's something, just to give you a snapshot, is around 400 million in budget. You've seen over the past years, we have steadily increased that. It's about a little more than 2,500 employees. And I've talked about globalization. You see, only 17% of these employees are outside of Germany. So one driver for me, change innovation, is be more global. And we talk about a lot of projects and, of course, IP and so on. Strategy is important. We have a whole bunch of sales with new products younger than 5 years, all some of the KPIs. Just to give you an idea what it means when I talk innovation about Evonik. But how do we do that? How do we invest that money? It's easy. It's actually twofold. The vast majority of investing that is done directly in our business units. The P&L responsibility drives innovation strategy. So this means that typically, yes, it's very close to markets, it's close to customers, and typically it has a shorter term focus, of course. 1, 3, maybe 5 years. As a company, we have said many, many years ago already, this cannot be sufficient. If we want to move on, if we want to grow above average, we have to have something that deals with the longer term innovation. And that's why we founded a separate organization, which we simply call Crealis. It is a strategic research unit, and they start thinking about potential solutions tomorrow, outside of our competencies, totally new things. And typically we know 5 years, well, that's hardly ever possible. We typically think about 10, maybe even 15 years. And you see, I said it's a different organization. Culture. You cannot have a bunch of people thinking about 10, 15 years ahead in the same environment than people who get a call from the customer every day, hey, I need the solution tomorrow. It simply doesn't work. So that's why it's separate. However, it does not mean that these folks are in an ivory tower. There's a close interaction, of course, between operational innovation and the strategic innovation. We have to work together. But nevertheless, it's a different environment. And I think this is key to success. Now, all theory. just to give you an example. Okay, that's more to visualize. Core content is focus of our business units is in the lower, was that left? And focus of ours more on the upper right. It's always good to be in the upper right, these diagrams, somehow. Anyhow, what does it mean? Question. Does anybody of you have a TV like this at home? No? I still have one. You should keep it. One day it's nice. But no, what you have at home, I know it's this. Yeah? Okay, flat, HDTV, 200 hertz, and so on. But I see it in your eyes. What you really want is this. Yeah? You want a big screen, 600 hertz, and 3D. You know, Super Bowl when the ball is coming. Okay, anyhow, that's what you want to have. And you're right, I would like to have that too. The simple problem is with today's technology, this will not work. In easy words, I'm not a specialist on that, you need faster transistors. Electrons have to move much faster. And so a couple of years ago, 6 or 7 years ago, we founded within our strategic R&D group a research group which we called nanotronics. We had some technology in nanotechnology, some competences in nanotechnology. We knew some electronics will move on, so we found a group. We had no clue about that, yeah? So we hired some experts, we put things together, and we started working. And today, or exactly 2 years ago, one of our business units took that group from the strategic R&D unit, more than 20 people, and the whole technology, and now they are marketing a totally new product, which we call Evonik, and is about coating of thin film transistor, new material, new process. So it's not only about the material, yeah? And this can change the world in doing flat screen TVs or other digital, screens, yeah? So it's about a totally new thing which we hadn't a clue on about 6 or 7 years ago. That's what we understand when I talk about strategic innovation, think about the longer term perspectives. How to do that? How to do, and I said you have to work together with our business units. We have a specific concept. And again, I can only say our concepts. I'm not saying that they are the best, there are others out there. That's the way we try to foster innovation. This is another way of setting up, of organizing innovation in a specific way, which we call project houses. Can't forget the name, but anyhow, what is it? It's a joint venture between strategic R&D and a business unit. We put in an equal amount of resources. Operational business gives $1, corporate gives $1. Then we regroup the competencies, we regroup people for a given period of time, 3 years. And then it's finished. Yeah? And then these people start to work on a well-defined, predefined topic. So it's not that way out disruptive. It's building on our competencies, but it has to drive the organization a step further away than just being incremental. Giving you an example, we're just setting up the 11th project house in our history. We started in 2000, and you see here, and don't need to run through that, it's a wide variety of competencies work on, starting from nanomaterials, nanotronics. Yeah. It's about fermentation, bioeconomy, it's about polymers. And just recently, the 3 ones in purple, about light and electronics. And I talked about globalization of innovation. That's what we set up in Taiwan when we think about the electronic industry. Well, Asia might be a good place to go. We have another one working on new materials, lightweight, for example, composites. And as a matter of fact, as of today, we are starting an activity like that in the US where we will be working on medical devices. So 2 things, driving competences, and the other, driving globalization with this kind of concept. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, I've said we're well organized, we're well structured, we have a business strategy, we do have an innovation strategy, and what you see here are the major fields where we want to make innovation, where we think we can make a difference. So we have defined fields of innovation. But I'm going to ask you a question. You see the car in that chart? Does anybody see the car? Raise your hand who sees a car. Not seeing a car? No? Good. There's no car. It's a ship. Some say it's a Titanic because it's sinking, but it's not supposed to sink, but it's a ship. So predefined fields, ladies and gentlemen. You see what you want to see. But we have to see things which we cannot see yet. That's why, if you talk about innovation, you have to have different and new perspectives. And in the last couple of minutes, I'm going to tell you how we try to approach that. So it's all about open innovation. Now, it's a buzzword, I know. Everybody does it, and our company somehow is 150 years old. I think from early on we have been working together with universities. Today we would call that open innovation. Yeah? But today open innovation is more. It's the way of doing that. It has a different culture in your company. It's working with your customers, what we always did, with your suppliers, what you always did, but maybe with partners you would not think of. Yeah? And why is open innovation so important? I told you we are 33,000 employees. There are around 7 billion people in the world. So statistically, the likelihood that somebody outside of Evonik might have a brilliant idea that fits to us is pretty high. So that's why we simply have to tap on these resources, and that's why all these activities have been strengthened enormously in the past years within Evonik. Just to give you a few examples, we have, for a couple of years now, what we call Evonik Meets Science events, where our scientists talk to the academic world in a 1.5-day meeting, typically, a predefined topic, can be new materials, can be biotechnology, whatever. A new material, a new topic where our scientists talk to internationally renowned professors of the university. You might say, that's pretty classical talking to universities. Yes, in a way it is. What we did last year for the first time, and we've never heard of that before, we were asking professors to give us a new idea on something we have been doing in our company for more than 70 years, 70 years. Producing an amino acid methionine. We've got a huge plant. We're just investing more than €500 million in designing a 150,000 tons per year plant. So 70 years working with methionine. We should know everything. So we went out and asked 60 deans, 100 selected professors, give us your idea on synthesizing a not too complicated molecule. It's even a racemic mixture, so it's not too complicated. The result was fantastic. We got more than a dozen proposals. We selected 3 winners. There was, of course, a reward going with that. Yeah. But the ideas they came up with, our people, they've never thought about it. Now, why I'm saying that, that's the proof. You have to go out. You have to tap in new resources. We've got a lot of startup companies here today. Also, a thing we started a little more than 2 years ago is Evonik Venture Activities. And I think this was maybe one of the best decisions we have been taking around open innovation. We've created a fund of around 100 million euros, which we want to invest in startup companies, either through other funds, so expanding our reach, or with direct investments. And you see here on the chart, we've made 3 fund investments. And a matter of fact, end of last year, and we're only 2 years old, our first direct investment in the company FRX. And maybe in the next couple of days, we might announce another one. So corporate venturing, for me, a very fascinating tool. And also, Chris, that talking to startup companies, it really opens your eyes. Yes, you feel the passion. It's a totally different way of approaching things, and that's what I like. And it's not so much for me, in fact, of investing in the company. Yes, sure. I don't think anybody comes to Evonik just for money. It's about learning about new things, new ways, new products, new technologies, new business models, yeah, and trying somehow to match that with the strategy of Evonik. And that's why we do it at the end of the day. Sure, there's a goal for us. We have to strengthen our core business, but we want to expand and maybe tap into really unknown areas for Evonik. That's why we do corporate venture. Another example, talking about disruption. Anyway, talking about disruption, the most difficult thing with disruptive technologies or solutions is that you only know afterwards that they are disruptive. Yeah? You never know before, otherwise it would be easy. Then you could wait 20 years. So what we try to do, It's nothing new to the world, but it was new to us. We started that about 3 to 4 years ago, is an activity we call corporate foresight. And we started that with a small, call like these future institutes, who now have these scenario techniques. We hire them as a consultant. The first thing they asked me, Peter, tell me something about Evonik. What is Evonik? What do you want to do? I told them, no, you don't need to know anything about Evonik, because you should tell us what is your feeling, and you should teach us the methodologies. How could the world look like in 10 to 15 years? That's what I want to know. You should not extrapolate what Evonik can do today. And that's what we did. So we have a group today within strategic research, and of course they have a network, internal and external network, and they really think about specific topics. And you see here in 2012 we were focused on mega cities. Though they thought about what would a mega city, what are the needs of a mega city in 10 to 15 years. First of all, you know a mega city is not a mega city. You can imagine a mega city in Africa is different from the one in Europe, if we have one or two, or in Asia. Yeah? So we had some concepts, and then we analyzed what could that mean for Evonik today. And of course, you talk about housing, you talk about infrastructure, mobility, energy management, and then we derive activities for us. And just a simple example, you could talk about insulating materials, and you see here different insulating materials, all having the same insulation power. And you see at the very end, a solution from Evonik vacuum insulation panels is simply that thick instead of that thick. Now you can imagine you're building a skyscraper, you want to rent out. Whether you rent out a flat like this or like this is enormous difference. Yeah? So these things can derive from these kinds of analyses. Of course, this takes time. I know we said we talk about 10 to 15 years ahead, but I think it's a valuable instrument. And it has been quite successful, and it also gives you a totally different dynamic when people talk to each other about these solutions in the future. And we have created an enormous network within the company of all experts and non-experts, specifically, to talk about potential new things here. Now, we also do concept studies. You see here, it's not yet a car which is in the company car fleet yet, but maybe we need to do some rework. Here we try to implement some of our concepts: lightweight material, low rolling resisting tires, batteries, and so on. And it was a car, and I would love to be part of that, who drove around 5,000 kilometers along the coast of Australia simply using wind energy. Yeah? So there's no, you can hardly see, there's no exhaust pads. They had a big thing where they mounted up a little wheel and that recharged the battery. Yeah? So fantastic idea. Will we do that in 10, 15, 20 years? I don't know. But it's simply to demonstrate what things are possible. And that's how we want to see innovation. That's how we want to drive innovation, simply trying out new things. And it has to be done. It has to be led. And it has to be led. And that's why I come back to what I said early on. That's why we have this initiative, leading innovation. You just cannot wait in a big corporation that it's happened. Maybe something by accident. It does happen. But that's what you have to do. Yes, it's about value creation. And when I say that, or we can read it from the back, what does value creation mean? At the end of the day, you have to invest some money and you create knowledge. Knowledge is no innovation. When you use that knowledge and turn it again into money, and you might realize here there are 50 euro bills at the beginning and 200 euro bills at the end. Yeah? That's what I say when we need to create value. And we always have to say that. It's not for the sake of technology. It's for the sake of creating value. To do that, yes, I mentioned diverse and global networks. You have to have the fine balance between short-term and long-term needs. You have to exploit internal and external know-how. Internal, why am I saying that? You can imagine big corporations. You have a researcher sitting in China and one in the middle of Germany. How do they interact? You have to bring these people together. You have to actively manage that. Yeah? You have to accept an open-ended and adaptive approach. You start a project. You can never be sure that in 10 years you will exactly do that what you thought of. Typically you don't. Yeah? You have to accept that in a big organization. Yes, and coming back to Chris, yes, it's about passion. It's about culture. It's about the commitment of everybody. So you cannot delegate innovation to the R&D department. A part of it you can delegate, but it will be the challenge of everybody. And most important, and that's my last slide, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes you will fail. Sometimes you have to fail, because if you don't fail, if you never fail, you do the old stuff. So with that, thank you very much for your attention, and I hope it gives you some insight how we do it, how we try to drive innovation, and happy to discuss with you things. Thank you very much for your attention.